$10 billion a month to $35 billion of asset purchases. The European Commission aims to have 40% female representation on major company boards by 2020. But with just 6 years to go to that deadline, it's only at 18% right now. The Women's Executive Network is holding a leadership summit in Dublin today. Its founder, Pamela Jeffery, is here. And Pamela, that figure of 18%, I imagine we're making woefully slow progress. But is the momentum there? Are we heading towards that 40%?
The momentum is there. We are heading towards the 40%. The big question is, since that translates into just under 4% per year until 2020, how will companies achieve 4% per year?
These are European figures. How do they compare to, say, the United States or Great Britain or Canada, where you're from?
Yeah, so in Canada, where I'm from, women hold about 16% of board seats. So we have a ways to go. In Ontario, our government has introduced a comply or explain approach, which means companies must comply with new disclosure requirements around diversity. And if they don't disclose how much diversity they have, what their diversity policy is, then they must explain why not. And that comes from the Lord Davies report in the UK, where we've seen great success in the FTSE 100. And now we're seeing more success in the FTSE 250. So there is momentum, but it is slow.
And is it time to introduce something like that in Europe, say, maybe perhaps do we have to go as far as bringing in gender quotas?
Well, I'm not personally a fan of gender quotas. I'm a fan of targets. I'd like to see companies set their own targets that make sense for their own businesses. And then I think that will help us move towards that 40%. I think if we're going to achieve that 40% goal by 2020, and I laud the European Commission for putting that in place, I think companies need to figure out what's best for them to get to that 40%.
And this event today, the Women's Executive Network, a little bit around what's happening today and your organisation?
Sure. So our organisation has 20,000 members, all women in management, executive board and professional roles. And so for those women, they like to learn from each other, they like to meet each other. And so today in Dublin, we have a leadership summit with speakers who are our award winners of Ireland's Most Powerful Women, Top 25. So really it's about transformational leadership and how these women who are leaders can be even better as they move through their organizations into CEO jobs. And we have many women now in CEO jobs, but we'd like to see more.
Well, hopefully more in the future. Pamela Jeffery, thank you very much. Good luck with that event, and thanks for coming to us today.
Thank you very much.
Now, the initial public